How bad does a torn rotator cuff feel? It actually varies a lot. At best, it can feel completely painless, and at worst, it can feel like severe constant pain that worsens every time you go to move your arm around. But more pain doesn't necessarily mean that your rotator cuff tear is worse. To best explain it to you, let me draw you a picture. So if we have a graph here, like that, and right here we have not torn, we're talking about your rotator cuff tendon. And on the far end, we have completely torn, right, complete tear. And in the middle, we have a partial tear. And on this side over here, we're going to graph two things: high pain / high irritation. And you have to differentiate irritation from pain. Pain means it hurts, obviously, but irritation means there's certain chemical processes that are happening inside the tissue that are associated with the beginning stages of healing. Low pain / low irritation. Most people think that it happens like this, that you go from not being torn and low to no irritation, and as your tear gets worse, the irritation and pain get higher. This does happen sometimes, but honestly, it is not the case all the time, or even, I would even say half the time. It's a fraction of the time that way. It's possible for you to start with high pain with just the beginning of a tear happening, and then actually go down to no pain or irritation as you get a complete tear. And then you can have other variations, like where you have a consistent level of moderate pain as the tear progresses and it doesn't really get worse or better necessarily. Then you can have situations where it's constantly high. It just hurts all the time, all the way on to a complete tear. And then you can have other situations where you hardly feel anything. Maybe a little ache or pain, nothing that makes you lose any sleep at night, and you work your way over to a complete tear. Then you can have situations where you go up and down that look like this, where you start with no pain, no irritation, and no tear, of course, and then it starts out low and then it peaks somewhere around here and then goes back down this way as you approach a complete tear. And you can go the other way too, where it starts with high pain but no tear, goes down to almost nothing, and then comes back up this way. And then there's this option too, where you start high and then just end low, or you start low and end high. There's so many different possibilities for how you'll experience the pain, and it does not always correlate with the severity of the tear on your rotator cuff tendon. On the same graph, which you're more likely to experience, this is a tear down here, not torn, complete tear, high pain and irritation, low pain and irritation. This is what it's more likely to look like. Most people don't have a ton of pain. It goes up at certain times, then they rest, usually as instructed by a healthcare professional. Then it goes down, they get healthy enough or good enough to do more activity. Then it spikes up again, and meanwhile they're progressing their tear, and they just go through this cycle that may last years. There may be years between these spikes, or even just months between these spikes. This time frame could take 6 months. This time frame could take a few months, or it could take several years or decades even to go through this. The message that I want you to get from this video is that pain does not correlate to how severely you tear your rotator cuff tendon. What it correlates to is how badly it's irritated, and you get more irritation by doing things that cause you pain. That's your feedback loop that you're looking for. Don't do things that hurt you, because then you're going to set yourself up for more irritation. But in any case, what you need to be aware of is that if you're having shoulder pain and it's related to a rotator cuff issue, especially if you're aware of that because you've had an MRI that shows it, or you suspect that you have a rotator cuff issue, then you need to begin to fix the root problem, which is usually a muscle imbalance. There's usually too much pressure going through the rotator cuff tendons because there's other muscles above and below that aren't doing their job, and they're forcing the rotator cuff tendon to take more pressure than they should be. If you can begin to address that root problem, you can have a chance at healing naturally without having a surgery, and even avoiding a complete tear and never having to worry about a rotator cuff problem in the long term. You can stop this cycle and make sure that it's not something that continues to bother you as you age. You can find more about how to help your rotator cuff tendon tear on our videos here on YouTube. There's a link in the description below that'll take you right to our playlist of all our rotator cuff videos. And there's also a program where I've compiled a comprehensive plan for you to fix a rotator cuff problem by addressing the root issues. It's called the Rotator Cuff Tear Recovery Program, and you can also find a link down in the description below. Hey, if this video was helpful for you, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on our notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the helpful videos that we post each and every week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.